light. So let's hear from both sides. Author Charles Kaiser, who has penned a CNN.com opinion piece critical of Comey's conduct, and Pate, a constitutional attorney who is supportive of Jim Comey. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Charles Kaiser, let me just begin with you. The premise of your column is that you say in this instance, Comey went farther than J. Edgar Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover did many terrible things as the director of the FBI, the founding director. He undermined democracy in many ways. He tried to undermine the civil rights movement. He tried to
tapes from Dr.
scare
King's
Martin Luther
bedroom
King
into
into
committing suicide.
But one thing that even he would never do was put his finger on the scale of an election. This has never happened before in the history of our democracy. No Justice Department official has ever done anything like this. And you can see today that this is no longer a partisan question. When you have 100 former Justice Department officials criticizing him, when you have a former Republican Deputy Attorney General criticizing him and saying that this has become the equivalent of a kind of reality TV of federal criminal investigation, and you have the former ethics lawyer, chief ethics lawyer of the White House saying that he has in fact violated the Hatch Act. This is a very bad day for American democracy.
That's how you see it. Pate, you see it differently. Tell me how you see it.
Well, I completely disagree with that, and I don't think it's fair at all to compare him with J. Edgar Hoover. I mean, everyone prior to this letter thought that James Comey was a great guy, completely unimpeachable.
I never thought James Comey was a great guy. I think he's misbehaved all year. What he should have done in July was he should have announced that there was no case against Hillary Clinton, that she had not committed a crime. He should have issued a one-paragraph press release. He should not have given that press conference. This is the latest instance of his misbehavior.
Well, we didn't see your opinion piece back then. In fact, everyone
I wrote exactly those words at that time, actually.
Well, I didn't see it, and I doubt the rest of the country saw it. But at this point, you have to look at what he's faced with. Does he not investigate this new information? Of course he has.
This is not a question of not investigating. That's not what this is a question of.
Exactly. So
this is a question of whether he announces it or not.
What does he do then? Does he tell people that what he said to Congress earlier is now inconsistent with the fact that there is an open investigation?
He doesn't have to say anything. There was no reason for him to say anything at this point. And all of the former senior officials of the Justice Department, Democrat and Republican, agree on that point today.
You threw the policy book out the window when you had James Comey as the FBI director making the final decision about prosecuting or not prosecuting someone. I've been critical of the way they've handled this. I thought there should have been a special prosecutor appointed months ago, but there was no prosecutor here.
There was no need for a special prosecutor. There was never any crime committed here. There is no crime. This is not what we should be talking about.
Maybe not. Well, then why weren't these emails provided to the FBI?
Forgive me, Pate, hang on. Let me just turn to you and ask you, a fear would be, critics have said, what if he went ahead and reopened looked at this review, looked at whatever the emails they found on, Weiner's laptop, and somebody could have leaked that they were looking into this.
Well, that's exactly.
And that is the potential of having a cloud hang over the FBI.
That's exactly why Mr. Comey is
covering it up.
No, Mr. Comey has proven that he's not qualified to be in this position because he has caved into the pressure, A, of irresponsible Republicans like Representative Chavez, and B, of his own right-wing FBI agents. And if he's acting today out of the fear that his own agents would leak this if he didn't announce it, this is proof that he does not have control over his own agency and he's not qualified to have this job.
I mean, you have lost your mind. Do you realize that President Obama appointed this man director of the FBI? He was considered to be completely nonpartisan and objective.
Well, he's
and now because you don't like the news, you've decided that he's all of a sudden become partisan. That is not true. James Comey has been the only person in this entire mess who does not have a political agenda.
Well,
and the idea to say that he's doing this with a political purpose.
And the Deputy Attorney General in the George Bush administration disagrees with you. And if he's nonpartisan, how is it possible that he's now being accused formally of violating the Hatch Act by George Bush's chief ethics lawyer? How is that possible?
There's no violation of the Hatch Act. If you've read the Hatch Act, you realize it requires the government to show that the intent was to cause some effect to the election.
That's exactly what the law does not say, according to the lawyer for George Bush.
It's in the books. It's black and white.
It's
very easy to read.
It is not a question of intent.
And why are all these Republicans opposing him now? Why are all the Republicans opposing him now? Because it's anti-Trump. And I get that. I don't support Donald Trump, but that doesn't mean James Comey caused this mess. This mess started when those emails were mishandled. The investigation should proceed according to policy and then determine if they mean anything. Perhaps they don't. But don't blame him for trying to
but there was no reason
the initial
to announce
impression
it.
that the investigation
The only
was
thing he
closed.
accomplished by announcing it was to throw a lifeline to a faltering candidacy and
You
to
think he
contribute
wanted
to
to
the
do
essential. Yes, I do, and he was contributing to the only strategy the Trump campaign has, which is voter suppression.
Why do you think he wanted to throw a
Trump?
lifeline? Hang on, Paige. Why do you think he wanted to throw a lifeline to Trump when you saw what he did, which had Trump and Republicans up in arms earlier in the summer, ultimately saying, upon review of the entire email investigation, saying it was criminal?
Earlier in the summer, he properly found that there was no crime, but instead of leaving it at that, he then decided that he had to engage in character assassination. This is the sort of thing that Joseph McCarthy did 50 years ago, and it is a disgrace that we now have an FBI director doing exactly the same thing as Joseph McCarthy did, engaging in character assassination after he has declared that she is not guilty of any crime.
Paige, do you think Comey did absolutely nothing wrong?
I don't think he had to send the letter. Let me be clear about that. He was under no legal obligation
we agree
to send
about that.
Would you please let me answer Brooks' question?
I'm agreeing with you.
There was no legal obligation for him to send the letter. But ethically, he left America and Congress under the impression that the investigation was closed. He wasn't looking for additional information. He wasn't trying to investigate Clinton. But these emails came to light. They were put on his desk, and he has the obligation
is seeing an
to look
ethic
into
which is
them.
invisible to every other former member of the Justice Department, including the former Republican Deputy Attorney General. This is an ethic which Page has invented. Nobody else is aware of it.
I am the only person here without any political motivation in this at all. I am not normally a friend of the FBI. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I'm not supporting either one of these candidates for president.
I'm a
just
proud
looking
Democrat,
at what
and I am supporting Hillary Clinton, but that's not
clearly.
what this is about. This is
You're
about
right.
whether
It's
or
not
not you
what this is
believe
about.
in the rule of law, Paige. And
I
that is what
absolutely
the
agree with
FBI
the rule of
director has
law.
undermined. The rule of law. He has
has not
distorted
broken
the
a
election in a
single
way that
law.
no former
Not a
Justice Department
single
official
law.
has ever done, and it is an outrage, and it is a sad day
You are
for
saying
American
his
democracy.
obligation is not to look at new evidence that may potentially
No,
be
I'm saying his
relevant to
obligation is not to
investigation?
announce it.
You don't
I
ever
did not
close
say
it
that.
and move on.
He did
Well,
not
he
have
left.
to announce it.
He
That's
left
the problem.
public with the impression that there was nothing left to investigate. He was presented this information.
The other thing I agree with you about, Paige, is you wrote in your piece there's no chance that this will lead to a new indictment or anything else. And I agree with you entirely about that, which is another reason it never should have been announced.
Then what's the fear here? Let him look through the information. They have a subpoena now. They have the ability to go through these emails. They're already cataloging
he
them.
said these,
Let's
he
see
said
what
these
they
emails
say.
were
Don't be
relevant before
afraid of
anybody
what
had
they
even
say.
been able to look at them. He didn't even have a subpoena to look at them before yesterday.
Right,
He has
and now
no
the
idea
Democrats,
what's in these emails.
now the Democrats
He
are
has behaved in an
criticizing him for not saying
outrageous,
more. Now they want him to go into the
shameful
details of the investigation. So you can't have
There
it
was
both
no
ways.
reason to announce it, Paige. None.
Well,
Zero.
we disagree, respectfully.
Yes,
we
and
disagree.
so do all of the former officials of the Justice Department.
Congratulations
disagree with
to
you.
them. I think the law is very clear. I'm not talking
Okay.
about my personal position. I'm just talking
Okay.
about the facts.
Okay. Okay. Charles,
Thank you.
Paige, agree to disagree, I suppose. 8 days. This is a huge, significant deal here as voters are weighing what they should believe as they go into that voting booth. Gentlemen, I appreciate both of your perspectives. Meantime,